Death, if you take our resuscitation team, anesthesiology, it's always hanging over us. Sometimes when I'm resuscitating someone, I can feel the Grim Reaper, no matter how it sounds, funny, scary, superstitious, and so on. Sometimes you're doing chest compressions, the patient comes back, everything's good, everything's perfect, everything's great, that's it. The heart starts beating, all's well, but you feel a chill running down your back, that chill, and you know she's here. No matter the compressions or adrenaline, it's all over. Yet she is standing right here and you can still feel her presence. You're transporting a critical patient, complete heart block, pulse is 20. After a bit of atropine, it barely goes up to 30. They're barely breathing. Well, you intubated, everything's fine, but they're still breathing. And you're sitting there and you're hot. You're sitting right next to them, doing all the procedures, getting them to the hospital. That's why, as they say, why be afraid of death? If it's written for you today, then it's today. If it's not, then we'll keep living. And then why be afraid at all? What is there to be afraid of? This is our job. If you're scared, stay home.
Take a look. In this video, he talks about the concept of death, about some kind of entity that comes, is present.
That's right.
And
the sensation originates from the area of the kidneys, situated near the lower ribs on the back.
wow.
Yes, that's exactly right. That's where the chill comes from. Well, he's right, as he says. What else can I say? I don't even feel like arguing. That's right.
Wait, you say it comes from the area of the kidneys, so if it appears, let's say, behind this doctor, then I don't understand what you mean.
By that, it's not that it appears behind him, it comes to the person and he feels it as if it's happening to him. That's called empathy.
This entire process is truly and deeply fascinating.
And there is even an ancient parable, or perhaps a traditional story or a mystical legend, or even just a simple tall tale about this, you can really call it whatever you like, concerning a very clumsy and unfortunate doctor who just could not figure out how to save people or how to properly heal them. He desperately tried all sorts of elaborate rituals, ancient magic and all that kind of stuff to find a cure. And the main point of the whole story is that through his many failures, he eventually learned the dark art of how to see another person's approaching death. Or he kept complaining to death all the time, and then death came and said, basically, if you see me, that person is done for. You might as well not even try to save them. But if I leave, even if you treat them with castor oil, they'll recover. And so he started treating everyone with castor oil. And everyone was amazed at what a great doctor he was, but in reality, he just saw death. And if he saw that death was standing at the head of the bed, that was it. The person was done for. But if death was standing somewhere else, then the person could be cured with anything at all. All of this is true, that's how it is. But, you know, if you really dig into this, into the video, into the accuracy of what he was saying, in one aspect he was wrong, in the idea that everything is predetermined. No, it's not predetermined. I've seen many people in my time approaching the very end of their journey. I've seen people in my life who slowly and quietly slipped away from us far too quickly without any clear or significant reasons at all. A person, they can be gone just like that, in what feels like the mere blink of an eye. In my deep conviction, a person makes the decision to die themselves. This decision has to be made. Without this decision, death itself will simply not arrive. It will continue to linger, it will dry out the body, it will slowly worsen the situation, but it won't be able to take it, won't be able to cut it off. That is, circumstances can drive a person to such a terrifying state that they themselves make the decision. That's it, I'm switching off, I'm dying. But it is not predetermined. It's just not predetermined. I have seen people, even people close to me, my own relatives, who for years did not die. They held on, even though one thing in the body would break, then another, then something else would fail. They live. And then at some point, tired of living like that, a person right before my eyes would make the decision that... And that's it.
And
it was literally just a day or two later, and they were suddenly gone. And this happened not only with my loved ones, but also with the elderly people I knew who were dying. Simply because the time had come to die, their bodies were in questionable conditions. And again, I could see the very day, the very moment when they internally made the decision that they didn't want to go on like this anymore, that they were ready to stop resisting. So even when the shadow of death is looming directly behind you, and even the doctor can clearly feel its cold presence, it still doesn't mean anything yet. You can find a way to make it out alive. But this choice, this escape, this salvation, getting out of this situation is only possible when you fully embrace the strength of your own soul. Just wanting it isn't enough. Only by embracing your soul can you get out of any situation. But if it's just, I want to, you'll keep fading away, And at some point, you'll be so powerless, so worn out, so will you already be exhausted? You'll end up saying yourself, I don't want this anymore, that's it, I'm done.
Well, by the way, that's actually very similar to how things happen with entities in general. It can stand right next to you, but only by your own will can you give it the opportunity to take something from you, to feed off you. It's the same with death.
You see, an entity is not a part of you, but death is your part, it's your organism. Look, for example, your physical body has a mechanism called the immune system, and this immune system sustains your life. But there are cases when the immune system starts to kill its host. In other words, your own body kills you. These are all sorts of allergic reactions, various malfunctions, immune diseases. So this does happen. These are specific cases. But just as you are not only a piece of meat, a physical body, flesh, bones, blood, you are also an energetic body. And a part of the energetic body is the energy of death. It moves throughout the entire flow like the immune system, cutting off the least viable and the most stubborn. Simply put, the most stubborn materialist, that is, a person who permanently and consistently neglects the interests of their soul. If you neglect the interests of your soul, your body is doomed.
By the way, why is it located specifically in the kidney area? I know that psychosomatically, if I'm not mistaken, the kidneys are responsible for fear. Maybe it's somehow connected.
We have specific entry points for entering the inner flow, which are situated right at the level of the kidneys. I personally refer to these as the gates. Moreover, the gates are not only at the back, but also at the front, at the level of the diaphragm in front. But because people have a dense layer of spasms here, it's harder for them to feel the process from the front. In fact, it enters from both sides, both the front and the back. That's why those who have been in profound near-death experiences, or those who, for example, suffer from hypertension, or have had strokes or severe heart attacks, some of them remember that in this area they felt a very strong pressure and they really wanted to protect themselves, to hide, but it still pierced right through them. So it's clearly felt there. In everyday life you won't feel it here, but from the back you can feel it in daily life. In our practices we don't just open up these spaces, feel them, observe them, we also talk to death itself. When you approach your own death, pay attention to it, there are no problems at all. It's a part of you that has no complaints against you, but when it pays attention to you and takes the initiative to come, that's the end for you. And
what exactly happens when the state of clinical death occurs? In clinical terms,
death is just a phrase. A person doesn't die.
Oh, he doesn't die.
If a person has died, that's it. It's not clinical, it's death. They simply opted for a phrase that effectively generates an illusion, which ultimately results in a misconception. So everyone who has experienced clinical death has not actually died. They entered an altered state of consciousness. They were forcibly separated from their bodies. They experienced certain moments when, for example, you suddenly stop breathing and the physical body begins to slowly die, but it's still technically alive. In other words, it's basically rotting away while still alive. If breathing stops, the first thing to decompose is your brain. It quite literally starts to rot, so they could experience these harrowing experiences, but they remained alive. They didn't actually die. And a person who died, none of this necessarily implies any kind of clinical death. You died, that's it, you arrived.
This is what happens in that vision, in that state. A person is talking to someone, they've attained, and you'll survive it.
You can do it even without death. You simply practice leaving your body, exiting your physical body with your energetic one. We have at least two bodies. There are more, but let's just say two for now. We have at least two bodies, the physical and the energetic. And with either of these bodies, you can live. Accordingly, if you practice and learn to use your energetic body, you can experience all of this, and without the help of death. It's just that during death, this happens forcibly. You no longer have the opportunity. You have no choice. You have no chance to orient yourself. You're just kicked out there, and that's it. But you don't die. These processes are set in motion, and then they fade away. So, well, it scares you, that's all. But there is no death. If death has occurred, it's impossible to go back. That's it. No way.
That is very interesting. Have you ever had specific moments in your practice when you saw your own death?
My own, of course.
So how did it happen?
I specifically summoned it during a deep state of focused meditation with open vision.
Why exactly did you do that?
To get acquainted with it, so that the process wouldn't be a surprise later. I do understand, after all, that I'm not immortal. I understand that it will happen. I understand that I'll have to move in my energy body. When am I supposed to learn how to do that? When I die or what? There won't be any time for that then. No, I am fully aware of all this, and I am preparing in advance, and I am preparing to meet my own death. I am studying this energy, I am getting used to this energy. I am training myself in the ability to move in the energy body. I'm practicing all of this. I fully understand that this will happen, there's no escaping it. Who else is doing this? Who is aware of this? No, most people live as if they are immortal. There was even a very famous video like that on the internet. It was titled, Questions to God. And in it, a curious person asked God, what is it that surprises you the most about human beings? And God answers, you spend your days living as if you will never face the end of life. And when you finally die, you carry yourself as if you never truly lived. And that is a profound truth. But
could it possibly be any different than this? You say that you are becoming deeply acquainted with your own death, so that when you are dying, to know how to act, is that right? Or what will happen differently? That's what I want to know.
Let's start with the fact that I don't actually intend to die. I intend to be born further. In order to be born further, my whole being must undergo a transformation. Accordingly, the energy of death isn't going anywhere. It will also remain inside me as a part of me. What is the essence of transformation? It is that the physical body will turn into pure consciousness, and this was demonstrated by Jesus Christ. This is still clearly demonstrated today by a variety of dedicated practitioners who live their lives in caves or in closed temples. This is called the body of light. This is extensively described in the books of Carlos Castaneda. There it is called the fire from within. And this even exists in Buddhism. It is called the rainbow body. So, is there such a spiritual achievement as not dying but being born into your next form? Pure consciousness. There are many iterations, many nuances, and there is even a word like Shliya Seichas. It's just that it would take a very long time to explain and tell everything, but the fact is, I don't intend to reach or bring myself to the state where my body simply falls to the floor as dead weight, as a corpse. Well, or wherever it ends up going. But I understand that I might not succeed. I mean, I'm not the kind of person who says it has to be this way and no other just because I said so. Yes, no, anything can happen. Situations, circumstances, anything is possible. And understanding this, I prepare in advance both for contact with death and for moving in my energy body. That is, I need experience, I need skill. I must be able to do this when the time comes. Because when it happens, I won't have time to learn anymore. And those people who end up in such situations without any training, for the most part, completely collapse and lose any ability to move at all. They turn into a black crystal of consciousness. And there is a special place in space reserved for them where they lie around until the end of time. I don't want that for myself. That's why I practice.
That's an interesting story. I don't think anyone would want to end up there.
So practice, study yourself, and face your own death. I demonstrated all these practices in the Practical Energy course. This is an integral part of a person. It's an inseparable part of their nature. It's not some other worldly being. Yes, there are other worldly beings, like inorganic forms of life, alien consciousnesses. But death is you, it's a part of you.
But isn't it exceptionally dangerous to come face to face with your own demise before it's supposed to happen? Can't you leave this life behind sooner than you should?
Well, as I said, a person makes that decision themselves. About leaving, it's just that someone might make that decision because of certain practices, or they might make it because staying here is no longer possible.
You know, most people are truly afraid of death. The fear of passing away at any given moment is always there. Or what? Certain events in life can
lead to death? Well, what do? You've come face to face with this fear, all right? So you have this fear. What do you do with it next? How do you interact with this fear? If you just keep being afraid day after day, well, that's not much of a life. If you start to study your own nature, the nature of reality, why someone says that each of us is Mahadev, each of us is God, where is this God? How is it all arranged? What is it anyway? At some point through these searches, a person reaches the structure of the Sri Yantra. Everything is in the Sri Yantra. All facets, all energies, all processes, all parts, all particles. And there naturally there is the energy of death as just a part of this vast structure. But again, I must say this is a very large scale and vast topic. And to try to get into it without any extrasensory perception is absolutely and completely pointless. It would be exactly the same as, going to study, say, the strength of materials or the resistance of materials, when you don't even know how to read or write. How are you going to study it? Just hearing about it won't help you much. Or let's say I want to play computer games, but I have no hands, no feet, no eyes. You won't be able to play computer games even if someone starts one up right next to your body. That's why people who have already practiced their extrasensory abilities, vision, interaction with energies, who have figured out these processes, for them, there is already knowledge that is deeper and broader. And for them, death is not something like, oh, death, death, and death. So what? I have a lot of things. I have a deity in my heart aside from death,
And these practices you're talking about, where did they come from?
Sri Vidya. It is a profound and intricate system of ancient knowledge that existed long before the dawn of Hinduism. Today it is commonly associated with religion, although it is actually a very ancient and detailed philosophical narrative about how reality is structured and how to expand the boundaries of your own perception. In order to truly see and understand all of this, this is a Shakta tradition of spiritual practices, and it is deeply, incredibly ancient.
Yes, how ancient?
Since the Satya Yuga. During the very first Yuga, the initial creation of all reality.
It's hard to even imagine how far back that is.
Yes, it's very far back. And from there, those people with those abilities comprehended reality, comprehended existence. They developed from this a system of practices, a system of training, a system for comprehending all of this. And so, in this way, from master to student, who would grow to the level of a master and then pass on that knowledge to their students, who would then reach the level, all of this has come down from the Satya Yuga to the present day. I am also part of this lineage of knowledge transmission, a bearer of this knowledge, of information about how to develop this ability within oneself. To see all of this in the form of vision, that's why it's called video. We have it. And if we dig a little deeper, we have a form of comprehension. Jnana is when you say, I'll ask everyone, I'll read everything, I'll study everything, but you haven't actually experienced it. It's not your own experience, that's Jnana. But vision is when essentially you don't read anything. You don't really bother anyone with questions. You take a system of practices, practice, and see for yourself. This is the system of practices I offer to people. Study?
Thank you. It's very good that we have these practices and that they have reached us
To
the present day. And all of this information can be thoroughly studied and found in various materials, both paid and free. Anton always has a lot of different information to share. You can go to Anton's Telegram channel, or you can follow the links provided below this video to find all of this information and much more.
95% of people don't even realize that within them lies a power that grants access to any possibility, a successful business, strong relationships, health, and self-fulfillment. It allows you to hear your soul and remember your true nature, your divine nature. This power is your energy. When it is blocked, you feel tired and upset. But when your energy flows freely and without obstacles, you are full of strength and capable of achieving any goal. Everyone can feel the movement of energy in their body. Are you ready to see this for yourself right now? I've prepared a practice where, in just 3 minutes, you'll become aware of the state of your energy and be able to activate the inner power that has been blocked for many years. The practice is available for a limited time. Right now, follow the link provided below the video and unlock the incredible source of power within yourself.